What up, tech peeps? Glad to see you guys here once again. Few folks who follow the channel, you guys know that a couple weeks back I did the unboxing and the first look of the DG77 case by the people at EVGA, and there were a lot of mixed feelings from people about that case. And obviously, you know, there are a couple things about it that really don't make that much sense. But with that said, we did a full build inside of the DG77. Now, I want to say that this particular video is not about the build, meaning that it's not about the parts inside the build. This video is strictly about all the different aspects of building a system inside of the EVGA DG77 case. That's what it's about, because a lot of the parts that we use are very high-end, and I'll tell you why. A friend of ours is Mark Poppin. He runs this site called Babel Tech Reviews, and man, it's crazy. This guy's been hit by a bus not once, but frickin' twice. And he can barely walk, man. His hip and his knee are all messed up. He has a cane and everything, but this guy loves to test stuff. So we matched up our test system exactly like his so that we could share the scores back and forth between us. So this system was really built to match exactly the parts that he has in his test bed. So instead of building a test bed, we figured, hey, let's just build it inside the DG77 because there's plenty of room for any video cards. We got the proper power supply. Hey, what the heck? Let's roll with it. So real quick, let's check out the parts that we used in the build, and then let's show you guys a time-lapse video as I talk about the different aspects about this build, the pros, the cons, and the hey, whatever. Let's go. The EVGA DG77 Alpine white mid-tower case was the case we used. The motherboard in this build was also provided by EVGA. Wanted to get as many EVGA parts inside of it as possible, so they provide us with one of their brand new Z370 motherboards. This is the FTW edition. The 8th generation Core i7 8700K processor is powering this baby, and we also use 16 gigabytes of Patriot DDR4 memory that we have clocked to 3300 megahertz. Keeping that CPU running cool is the Corsair Hydro Series H80i V2 Extreme. Now, this did not come with an RGB fan, but we changed it out for one of the LL series just to make it look cool. For the boot drive, I wanted something that was very fast, so I chose a really fast SSD. This is a 480 gigabyte one from Corsair. It's called the Neutron XT. Now for the storage drive, I also wanted something very fast, so I chose one of those hybrid SSD drives from Seagate. It's a 2 terabyte FireCuda. This is made for gaming, 64 megabytes of cache. All in all, it's pretty fast and was honestly pretty well priced at only 89 bucks when I got it. Beyond the fan located on the radiator, there are also 5 other fans inside this system. Now on top, we have 2 of Corsair's LL series RGB fans, and on the front, we have 3 of the fans that we got from EVGA. I know that video card prices right now are almost a joke, but we still had to put a video card in the system, so we chose a pretty good one. We used a Founders Edition GTX 1080 Ti from the people at EVGA. Powering up this system is the EVGA SuperNOVA 750 G3 power supply. Now this is 750 watts, it's Gold Plus certified, and is fully modular. So those are the parts, and yes, we'll have a link down below for you to check them out, and let me just tell you right now, these parts are really expensive in this build. It's not really meant such as a build for us. Like I told you in the very beginning, this is our test system as well. So all the video card testing and stuff that you'll see in the future will all be done in this system. Now, another thing is you can buy these parts at different places. We'll have links to Amazon. I think we'll have some links to Newegg, but I'm sure if you look around and scrounge, you can probably find stuff for a little bit cheaper that will almost match this system. But with that said though, let's check out the time-lapse video. Let's check out Anthony putting together the system, and let's talk about the good and the bad about putting this system together in the DG77. One of the first things that we noticed when we started doing this build is that the lights weren't working at all. There's a light in the front, which I'll talk about in a minute, which is kind of weird. And then there's the side light. A lot of you people actually, when I did the unboxing, said that you guys did not like this light whatsoever. You can remove it, or like Anthony was saying, you could make your own modification and change it. So we're actually going to be changing that logo to TOT in the future. We'll bring that video guide to you guys as well. But those two things are there. So right off the bat, these lights weren't working. We got the system finally built and everything, and I installed the software, and they still weren't working. We found out though that even after our buddy at EVGA sent us replacement parts, we found out that neither one of these lights was actually connected to the controller. Don't ask me why, they just weren't connected to the controller. So right off the bat, that was kind of the first thing that was kind of a pain in the butt, because we're like, hey, why aren't these lights working? But we did finally figure that out and get past that. Now, the front panel is kind of in a way ridiculous. I will totally admit this to you guys that we did the build, because there's an EVGA logo behind that the solid glass, you can't even see it. So what's the point of even having a light there? It's kind of just like wasted electricity, because it makes absolutely no sense. It would have been better if they would have had it so that the bottom where the fans were at had kind of a mesh so it had better airflow, and then left that part wide open so that people could have seen the logo. So that in itself is kind of like, eh. Also, the back window is also completely nice glass, but they colored it, which means if you're trying to do a build and show off all your cable management and stuff, well, you're not going to really be able to do that. Plus, this stuff's also very expensive. Some of the things that could have been cut corners in this could have brought this case probably from $169 down to around probably the $100 level, and I think people would have been a lot more receptive to that, you know, if it would have been that price point. A lot of people are like, wow, $169 for this case, and there's all kinds of different things going on with it that are just like, I don't really think I would want that. Now, the airflow through the case, I have to say that the way we built it, it actually does have really nice airflow through the case. Everything's running really nice. The CPU, even under full load, is barely getting over 32 Celsius. So it's running very, very cool. The liquid cooler obviously is doing its job. Another thing that kind of made me a little was that it says that you can mount a radiator on the top. Well, let me just tell you, unless you've got some really super duper thin radiator, it's not going to work. It's going to hit the motherboard, because that's where we were going to originally put the radiator, and we couldn't put the radiator up on top because of that fact. So it was like, okay, fine. So we moved it to the very back. We used a single one that we used. Like, you know, we could have used a bigger one, a dual 240, or even the triple, but for some reason, the way this particular case was made, I couldn't really do that unless I wanted to put it in the very front, and we needed that airflow, so we built it that particular way. Now, other weird thing, a lot of people said that, you know, the airflow was completely restricted. Well, the airflow is not completely restricted. There are vents on the side for the air to blow through, and with those fans all blowing air out of the system, the air really does flow through there kind of nice. Another thing, you guys were saying that because the card was kind of up against the glass, it would get no airflow whatsoever, and it was crazy. Well, actually, there's about, I don't know, almost probably about 3/4 of an inch distance between the glass and the card. So there is room for the air to circulate through there. Plus, there's all that air circulating through the system to also keep that card running cool. I've seen other reviewers say that they really didn't think that the cable management ability on this case was very well whatsoever, and honestly, I have to disagree with that. Now, maybe it's not just like, you know, really super childishly easy to do it, but with the right time and taking care, you can see that Anthony was able to get the cable management very easily. Those little rubber slots and all the stuff in there, sometimes those things are a little bit hard to work with, but if you spend the time and energy and you pay attention to what you're doing, you can see that really good cable management can be achieved in the DG77 without a problem. Look, we did it. If we did it, you can do it. You guys can see that this build does look very nice. We've actually tested a lot of different video cards in the system. Unfortunately for SLI, there's no way to do the vertical card, so we have to move the vertical card out when we're doing SLI testing, but it does power two 1080 Ti's without a problem, so that's pretty cool. So that means we'll be able to do all of our testing inside of the case without issue. So let's just go over a few things. I know people like me to sum everything up at the end of the video. So at $169, I feel that the DG77 is a little overpriced for what you get. Like I said, the glass black panel, it doesn't need to be colored, it should be clear. It doesn't need to be that high quality for this unless, especially if it's not going to be clear. The front panel makes no sense. There could have been some design things to make the airflow a little bit better through the case. Like I said, you cannot mount any type of, big size radiator on the top whatsoever or it hits your motherboard. So you're kind of limited. You're either to using the back place where we did it with a single, AIO, or you're talking about using the front depending on how you want to do your build. But if you put it in the front, well then obviously your airflow is going to be different. You're only going to have like a single thing and and then two fans on top to get the air to move through. So I think the way that we did it with the three fans pushing the air in and the other fans taking the air out, I think that's a much better way for building the system and keeping the airflow going through it. Honestly, as far as the build goes and working inside of the case, you won't cut yourself up or anything like that at all. Everything is, it's made so that you're not going to like rip your hands up and all that stuff. So those are the things about it that I think. You guys, I want to hear you guys' opinion below and see what you think. Also, I noticed a lot of people said they really hated the DG77 marking on the case. I personally don't have a problem with that. In a way, I think it kind of looks kind of cool, like almost like robotic. I know other people disagree, but if you really want it off of there, you can just scrape it off easily with a razor blade and it's done and gone, and it can be, off the case. Same thing with the EVGA logo that's down there on the side. You can either take that off, or what'll be really cooler is for you just to modify something and make it your own personal thing. That way it's not the EVGA logo, it's your own logo. So I'm Elric. You guys have been watching Tech Tomorrow. Like usual, all the parts that we use for this build will be down below. Like I said in the very beginning, this is just our particular build. You can build whatever you want inside of it. This video was about using the DG77 and its fun facts of building a system in it. So peace out. We'll see you back here on the channel.